Right, okay, ready to go? All right. Welcome to my workshop, who's never been here before. I started woodburning quite a long time ago, the first time round. 1996 I actually started. Got about 6 months into it, and the wife at the time, we decided to get a divorce, and that put paid to that woodturning very quickly. So I had to sell all the tools that I'd got. I think I had a new tool round bed lathe, and I think it had about 12-inch capacity. But like I say, it all got sold off. And started a family again, and I actually started turning again in 2012, I think it was. And I had a couple of health issues. I actually got back on track on 2015, so that's like 5 years ago now. So I managed to get a lathe, I started turning again. Things were doing really good. I used to be a full-time taxi driver, and I've now, for various reasons, started to pursue wood turning on a full-time basis. I've got a nice workshop now, and in 2016 I went and visited Gary Law up there in Elgin in Scotland. It was a fabulous place, fabulous day. Was actually it was an evening and a night, I think, right? An evening and a day, wasn't it, Gary? The first time. And I come back and I've gone up there to see how Gary does his cosmic cloud. And I always feel if a turner is working hard, or I want to try and reproduce what a turner is doing, if it's feasibly possible, I'd like to, reimburse and name that person whose work I'm trying to do. So, and I thought, why not? So I went up there and spent the time with Gary, which was very, very valuable. 2016, I was starting to get better, starting to buy a few more tools. I then moved up to an Axminster 1438, I think they are. But I think they've changed the name now, or that's what it's called now. But I could turn bigger, so I spent a bit more money on a more quality lathe.
Chris?
Right, so I bought the Axminster 14 by 37, I think it is, and I was enjoying it, and I decided to go and partake in another course up at Gary Law's. My wife bought it for a birthday. So I went up there on it was the 10th of November 2017, and had another. We went up as a family, actually. We had a few days around Elgin, and I had the day with Gary. It was absolutely brilliant. And I came back, went back to work, and it was the same weekend of the big woodworking show in Harrogate, where a lot of the people from the UK and all that we go there, spend a fabulous 3 days, and that's what was happening. Unfortunately, on the Friday night before the Harrogate show, I suffered quite a bad workshop fire, which just absolutely knocked the steam right out of me. As it was, I still went to the Harrogate show on the Saturday because I was that depressed and feeling down at the fire in the workshop. I just had enough. I can hear it echoing again there. So basically I had a shop fire, absolute catastrophe. And so I went to Harrogate anyway, and I went and bought myself a new ball couch and see if that could cheer me up. I think it was the best thing I could do at the time. I couldn't just sit there and go through the ashes in the workshop. But anyway, that's life. It goes on, and we pick ourselves up and we carry on. So anyway, so after that, I basically rebuilt the shop as best as I could to get it weathertight and up and running again. And luckily, my lathe had gone through it. So I managed to save it, and then I sold it, and I went and bought myself, I think you'll be able to see this in there. I went and bought myself a Powermatic 2442, which you can see there is, it's an absolute beast of a machine. I actually got it on the auction of Axminster, so I was very lucky with it. It has a 24-inch spring on it. I think it weighs nearly 400 kilos. So there's a 12-inch swing, and I can have 42 inches between centres, which I don't do very much of that kind of work. But it is absolutely brilliant. It's got a 3-horsepower motor, but it's through an inverter, so it can just be plugged straight into the normal 3-pin supply over here. And up to now, it's been able to handle everything I've thrown at it and more. The actual, the solidity of the lathe is unbelievable. If there's anybody with any questions on that?
No, you're okay at the moment. You're okay at the moment, Chris. It's just people giving comments there about the internet fluctuating and things, but just crack on. You're fine.
Right, okay, mate.
The consensus is if you stay closer to the mic, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, I'm right on top of it here. Right. So my tools. I have a full set of Hope ball gouges. They're the variety of the double-ended, which I find absolutely brilliant for when I'm demonstrating. Really good. Sometimes the places don't have somewhere to sharpen. So the double-ended, they generally get me right through the demonstration, okay. I also have a Crown M42, and this is a phenomenal tool. The edge stays on that for so long, it's unbelievable. It's brilliant steel, absolutely awesome. People who've seen my demos or videos on YouTube, I use quite a lot of negative rate scrapers. They are much better on dense grain timbers, but they can be used carefully on oak and ash, and they still get a reasonable finish. Not as good as what you get with a gouge, but on the denser timbers, it's the finish is as good as a gouge. Because like people say, oh, you're not cutting it, you're not shaving it. Well, I can show you some shavings with them, and they're what not as a scraper. And some of the finishes are as good as a gouge, in my opinion. So I've got various shapes. That's this for the shears. That's for inside the ball, as you can see. That's the profile of them. It's the same profile, the same degrees on all of them. And the reason I have it set like that is basically on my sharpening system, which is an Axminster slow grind with I think it's equivalent to a 180 grit CBM wheel. and it's set at that angle. That angle doesn't change. So I basically put you down a second. So I basically put that on there, and it's a set angle, and I don't have to guess. I know it's right, and that's the same on all of my scrapers, and it helps me to be much more fluid in my work from the piece to the grinder and then back again with no interruption of workflow. Find it really good. As you know, I like using texturing tools, so I have quite a few of those. They're a hardened steel wheel and with various designs. I've got the smaller one as well, obviously for smaller pieces. With it's got 2 interchangeable heads, and they just fit in there together. The hollowing tools that I use, people in the UK will have heard of Simon Hall. Basically, that's one of his. That's the 12mm hook scraper. I've never used a regular hollowing tool, but with the control that I've managed to build up with these now, I can start sanding the inside at 120, and it's cracking. Basically, that's a 32mm hardened steel disc, and that cleans up even further lines from the 12mm, if there is any. Now, the original work for the hollowing is done by this 6mm carbide bit, which is on a 4-foot steel bar. If I go pull back a bit, you should be able to see those. The one closest to the Sobe edge, that's like nearly 4 foot, and then down to the others. As the shortening of my gouges, I have a Sobe. Again, this is set to a certain degree, so I don't have to change things around. I have it set up there like that. Get my.
Just move back your camera a bit, Chris. We can't see.
Is that okay there, Pat?
That's better. It's a little bit dark there, but I know what happens when you turn on all your lights there. I've told people about your light issues, so yeah.
Well, it's just not trying to just make it too bright, Pat.
Yeah, I know. It's your shadow cast across the Chris. If you stand to one side to allow the light you're using just to project onto it, I know it's not easy.
So then, this gouge again is set up. I have it at about 40 degrees, so it's an approximate 40-40 grind. And again, it's set. It's the same for all of my gouges. So I put it into the Sobe, switch it on, out we go, and back to the work again with no interruption. Right, that's the way I like it. Just like, otherwise I could find myself getting distracted by having to do other pieces. I have the large set of the cold jaws for doing some of the reversing work, and also on the lathe it's set up with a Venturi vacuum chuck, which is very good. I like to be, because of the different pieces I make, I like to have different options. So obviously we've got that for the plates, and the vacuum chuck, and other various jam chucks for the hollow forms and what have you. These are what are they? The gauges, for the hollow forms. Again, these top two are from Hope Turning, and I think that one is a Robert Sorby, I think. This one there at the bottom. So, they're very, very good. Well built. They're not flimsy like some of the ones that you can buy. Does a really, really cracking job. When I am turning, I have this table here. I'll just put that there like that and put it down so you can see. I have that table there, and while I'm turning, I can just use that to put my tools on, and they're nice and safe. They won't drop on the floor, stab me in the foot or anything like that. And it's, you know, because if they get caught by a turning piece, you know, it's a flying missile, isn't it? And on this table, I also have some of my abrasive drill bits. They basically defiber when you're doing the texturing work, and you put them in the drill, and they take the little bits of wispy bits of wood that when you've textured that's still remaining. These ones are impregnated with silicon carbide, and I think that's the equivalent of, what did it say? I think that's the equivalent of 120, the red, and I think the blue is 240, approximately. You know, they're very, very good. I have different shaped ones for different applications, and I use these little handmade things for when I, you know, inside the hollow forms, so I can get inside the neck, because obviously you don't want to be sticking any of your fingers inside the. I have them of different shapes again, so for the different entrances. So the little handy little tools that you might use when you're doing a job, I just like having them handy. This is basically the rest of my workshop over there in a bit of darkness, and some of the pieces. Well, I believe we're going to put you in the best here. Well, if we put you there, you can see that okay?
That's okay, Chris. Depends on where you're going to stand.
Right. If I get each piece, and I'll bring it up. That was an oak. That's an oak vessel. It's been faceted on the outside, accentuated with acrylic paints.
Sorry, Chris. Just keep it to the centre of the screen if you can, Chris. You're out to one corner.
Say again, Pat. I lost you there, mate.
Keep it to the centre of the screen, please. It's only in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Can you hear me if I go over there, Pat? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you there, Chris.
Right. I was just trying to say a bit closer. I'll go over there.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an oak vessel. This was a piece of sycamore. The radial design was the inspiration from a Roman kind of sun, maybe radiating from it. There was like black cobbles.
Just come a bit closer to the camera, Chris, please.
Sorry, Pat?
Just come a little bit closer to the camera. There you go. Perfect. Perfect.
Is that okay there?
Yeah, spot on there.
So that was the surface was used with acrylic paint. It was textured, and then silver acrylic paint lightly applied to the top to accentuate it. On the back, there's just a simple texturing design, just to highlight that we've not forgotten about the back. This is a two-part hollow form that I made when I visited Tracy Owen. It is hollow. That hole goes right through, and I can't remember which. I think it's the second disguised groove is where the join is for the two pieces. And the piece it's a piece of ash, and it's been sandblasted, which was absolutely awesome idea. Absolutely love the texture on that piece. And here we've got a piece of yew. This, I was very lucky enough to have the whole tree. So I've obviously hollowed it. It was its orientation within the tree would have been like that, as that's the sapwood. And as it gets into the darker heartwood in the centre, and some very nice purple inclusions that I believe come from iron within the soil, so I'm told, with a bit of pyrography around its opening. And it's an absolutely, I love the actual piece, the shape, very nice. This piece, where it's a piece of sycamore, it's been textured with an angle grinder, and the glaze effect that I was going for inspired. I follow quite a few people on Instagram, and there's ceramicists. They make things out of ceramics, and it was some of the glaze that they managed to get on their pots and what have you, which is what I went for. And I think with what I did to the surface, I think I caught it. There's obviously the blue, there's black, and there's silver acrylic just to the very highlights of the texture. And it's textured throughout. There is no foot. I much prefer a piece to sit how a piece wants to sit once you've textured it. I much prefer an organic piece to a precision piece. And don't get me wrong, I'm very inspired by the precision that some people can make, but it's just not for me. I much prefer this organic, individual, handmade kind of pieces. This one, when I first made it, I think someone he said, "Oh, it reminds me of an alien egg." And okay, I thought I could see that. But they're the pieces. It's been carved. It's hollow formed, hollow. It's been carved, and then those was cut with a micromotor along each of the grain lines, the ring lines, and the same when you look at it from the top, it just radiates out. Now, I did eventually start this fantastic hobby of ours for the love of the wood. This is a piece of lime burr, as you can see on the back. That's the natural piece of it. And I accentuated it with the red and black border. The outer bit was burnt using the burner and sort of feathered in, if you would. And it was cut back a little bit on the inside. And then when the red was added, it's obviously a very punchy kind of piece. Coming up to the latest pieces I've been doing while we've been in lockdown. This one is a hollow form, turned wet, allowed to distort. That's why it's got an oval opening. Back again, organic. I know once it's twisted and warped, it's not going to go any further. So I then textured it, cut it, various applications of colour, and then final silver acrylic applied. It's once it stands, it's found its own space, and it's a very tactile piece, which I like. Again, one more of the latest pieces. This one I call some of my pieces, but not all of them. This was Rusted Facets. It's a hollow form, which, as you can see, and my missus reminded me, said it looks like a chocolate lime, and I come out the house. But yes, I absolutely love what the texture and the patina I've managed to get on that. Again, all this work is done with acrylic paints. No formulas are used in it. I'd rather create them than just buy a bottle and the bottle does it for you. That's only my take on it. Let's take you over to the workbench over there. I use let's get that there. I use a micro motor for my work. There's absolute. I got that last year at Harrogate. Absolutely brilliant. And I use a pyrography machine, just a cheap import, but it does the job at the minute until I can afford a better piece one, which hopefully I'll get this year. But depending on this bloody lockdown, who knows? So in this area, I've got my glue gun. I've got the little light for close-up work on there. I've got some magnifying goggles somewhere. I think they're in one of the cupboards. But basically, so all my turned pieces, that's basically my canvases, if you want to call them as that. That was the hollow form that did the rounds on social media a few weeks ago, just nicely drying away. All different shapes, again, left to dry naturally and twist and distort. Some hollow forms. It's a bit of sweet, no it's not, it's a bit of sycamore I think, possibly sycamore. A piece of spalted beech. I've got in the tubs under there, they're full of pieces drying as well. I convert quite a bit of my own timber, so I have quite big chunks hiding under the various units. It's a bit dark over there, isn't it? I have, let's see if I can get a bit of light over there for you. Over here, I've got some nice pieces of timber in there. I've got some yew, some ash, and some birch sweet chestnut in there, which will come very nice on. Nice bit of beech there, spalted, and some more yew. Like I say, so I convert quite some of my own timber, so I have a bandsaw that's capable of a 12-inch under the bearings, like, so it's a good set. I can good size in there, very good really. Just a bench with general shady things, just holding the bits and pieces that we use every day. Then the radio. But I have a tool cupboard here. It's just got chainsaws, grinders, sanders and belt sanders, and just other bits of rubbish that we seem to accumulate. Let's get that light out your way. In the bench that I use, it's a little bit dark, isn't it? In the bench that I use when I'm turning, that holds my tools there, I've also got my my chucks are in there. Why on earth is that doing that now? Oh, that's why. Is that better?
That's okay, Chris, now.
Yeah, it just went off then. Well, like I say, I keep my chucks in there, all out of the way, keeps it nicely weighted down, all the bits and pieces. I have my two favourite texturing tools, which are on the wall there. One's an Orbitech, absolutely great piece of kit. It was very good. And the other is just an angle grinder with a 4-inch Sabertooth fine cutting disc. Absolutely brilliant. And I think that's about it, really. I don't think I can say much more.
Oh, that's great, Chris. There is a few questions in.
Yeah.
You'll get yourself comfortable there then, and we'll ask you some questions. First one, Chris, is just to clarify, you said your lathe was a Powermatic. There's Jet written on it. A lot of our friends from the far side will know that the Jet and the Powermatic are very similar. So would you just clarify, please?
Yeah, it's what it came with, but it was on the top mat. As you can see there in the light, give me some light. The map on the mat that sits on the top says Powermatic. The Jet, the Powermatic, they're the same equipment as far as I'm aware. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Okay, somebody has just commented that Jet rebadged Powermatics. I was under the impression that the Powermatic was a slightly higher end lathe, and some of my American friends there maybe can clarify that one. Next question for you, Chris. What are the angles that you use on your scrapers, please?
I think they're about 70-30, I think.
Okay. So it's the ones that work for you.
I'll get a piece, I'll show you. Well, actually, no, it's not the same. It's not 70-30, it's the same. It's, if you can see there, the angle is the same. It's just that the bevel is shorter on one side than the other.
Back to you, Chris. Move it back to you a little. There you go.
Very difficult to show on the camera.
Yeah, if you just hold it steady for a second, Chris, it gives the camera a chance to focus. Once you keep moving it, it won't focus for a second. Okay. Yeah, I think people can see that well enough there, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris. Again, this could be a personal one. What caused the fire? Was it? I'm assuming this question is: was it something to do with electrical or whatever in your workshop?
No, it was dust that had got into the compressor.
Okay. Is your lathe on feet, Chris, or is it adjustable feet because of the floor? Or
sorry, Pat, you're breaking up. Is
your lathe on feet?
Is it on feet? Yeah, well, just on the feet that it came with.
Okay. You were using some carving discs earlier, Chris. Can you tell us where you would get them from in the UK, I presume?
Using what, Pat?
The discs that you got. Can everybody?
The smaller discs I got from what's a little bloody place called? Over is it Ockenden Timber?
Okay, just to clarify, if anybody wants to contact Chris, his website is Spalted Vase. If you look up www.spaltedvase, you will find Chris. If there's anything that we miss, And just a quick reminder, anybody wants to record a chat on this, down in the chat box, there's 3 little dots in a square. If you click on that at the end of the presentation, you can save all the comments, okay? And then Chris is giving the answers now and the links that have been put up. So just one more, Chris. What extraction are you using, Chris, when you're grinding?
I've got, you can see up there in the ceiling.
Yep.
There. Got the Record AC 400. I also have a Camvac. You can see the Camvac there that I just bring round to use.
Yeah, that's fine, Chris.
Absolutely brilliant. It's the twin engine, the twin motor one. Oh, it's very good. I like it.